Hello, everyone. Good evening. Sorry about the previous stream that I was recording. My internet bailed out on me, so I couldn't continue that one. So I have joined again in an English session this time. I think what I was discussing and I would like to discuss in this session is the entire story about Paytm and what is in store for us as we look forward. So, what I was mentioning in my previous video as well is that Paytm started somewhere around 2007, 2008, almost 15 years ago, if we were to say 15 to 16 years ago. And at that time, by the time they hit 2015-16 time frame, they were very pervasive in the North India environment. So whether it is auto, whether it is vegetables sellers, or a pawn shop, or a perchune shop, or a general grocery store, etc., they were all accepting Paytm wallet. And I think in next couple of years they introduced QR codes. So even more shops, more mom and pop shops, more retailers came onto the fold of Paytm. They started out as a wallet player, and they became one of the biggest player in India. As a matter of fact, Ant Financial from China did a lot of huge investment in Paytm, which basically gave them the muscle to onboard so many different offline sellers, retailers, rickshaw pullers, auto rickshaws, basically many people who used to put push carts, etc. They all came in the fold of Paytm. So from that perspective, I would say uh, I have a huge respect for such kind of a company that completely changed the way Indians basically pay. It's whether we like it or not, this is something that is not even prevalent in USA, if you were to see. So India is way ahead in the fintech world as compared. The only countries that will stand next to it will be China, which is even way further than Paytm. Even before them, they were using WeChat Pay and Alipay and things along those lines. So from that perspective, Paytm did very well. In the demonetization of 2016, Paytm got huge bump. So did other companies such as PhonePay, Google Pay, Amazon Pay, and other kind of companies, because a lot of transactions started moving on online. Please apologize. I have been under weather and my throat is not fully recovered yet for the last 1 week or so. But I wanted to, capture this because important things are going on with respect to Paytm right now. I think in 2018 is the first time when Paytm came under scanner and RBI started investigating them. So I'm talking about 2018, okay, which is almost, if you see, almost like 6 7 years ago, correct? So the reason was that they were investigating like what the funding is with China. So there could be multiple reasons. It could be that Paytm payment banks was already there and they wanted to ensure that all the compliances, KYC, etc., are being maintained. So they were investigating it with the respect, and there were a lot of issues that they raised and asked Paytm to fix those. So as you would understand that those investigations started way back in 2018. Meanwhile, as you all know, Paytm went for an IPO last year, and in the IPO, the Paytm price that basically kept on going down. So a lot of retail investors lost a huge amount of money through the Paytm IPO, and there was a lot of bad blood. But over the next few months, in fact, towards the whole year, Paytm had recovered and even surpassed their IPO, valuation that they once had, and it was on the way of its recovery. So it almost seemed like that maybe the IPO it did not do, it kind of bombed, but over a period of time they would basically make money and things would become all right. But as you would see in my another video also, I shared that in December 2023, they laid off 1,000 people, mentioning that they have used AI, and because of that, they are basically laying off these people. Fact of the matter is that RBI was doing inquiry. In fact, in 2022, almost I think in March or April, RBI had asked Paytm Payment Bank that you cannot take new accounts, you cannot take new deposits. So they had banned them even then itself, but they did not ban the UPI through which they make payments, and through which is their main vehicle for any kind of payment transactions. So what has happened now is, with this recent developments, RBI has basically issued that not only you cannot take any kind of deposits, but they have even banned the usage of UPI. So payments, Paytm Payments Bank was basically having the infrastructure for UPI, and when you use the Paytm wallet to send money transfer, it uses UPI provided by the payments bank. So now, because the payment banks has been asked not to basically use UPI, now Paytm has to onboard a different bank that will allow them to do UPI. So it's a very big blow to Paytm, but it's not a sudden kind of a thing. As I said, they were already under investigation since 2018. There were a lot of lapses, compliance lapses that Paytm had, and they were given multiple warnings and notices to fix them. And in 2022, again, their Paytm payment banks was given a notice that they cannot take any new deposits or any kind of new accounts. So that is already a big flag that they got, a red flag. And now, fast forward in 2024, they have been basically, payment bank license is still there, but it's effectively basically non-existent, right? And they have been asked to return money of all the people who have accounts in Paytm Payments Bank. So from a feasibility perspective, it looks like this will have a very big blow on Paytm. We have already seen their stock price has like basically completely sunk over the last few days, and my expectation is this, that in the next week when we open up, again we'll see a lot of price drops on Paytm. It's not very difficult to imagine that it will run into those kind of situations. But I think the big problem here is not about Paytm. My thinking is this might lead into other kind of layoffs that Paytm may have to do across the Paytm Payments Bank, and also in the Paytm side of business as well. These two are two different companies, by the way. Um, Second thing I'm thinking is that layoffs will be limited to Paytm. That's still kind of acceptable because their main bank is getting kind of shuttered at the moment, and hence, if the business itself is shuttered, then there is no point having people. So there could be an impact there, and we can hear layoffs in Paytm Payment Bank. Um, but my biggest concern is this problem only in Paytm, or there are other companies such as PhonePe and MobiKwik, and there are multiple payment gateways in India, and there are multiple payment banks in India. Airtel has payment bank. I think Jio also has a payment bank. They also have their payment gateways and wallets. Uh, are they also not following compliances? Are they also having some regulatory issues? Is this specific to Paytm, or is it a systemic problem across the fintech industry in India? That's a big question mark that I have in my mind. So, if this is a remote specific situation for Paytm, while it is bad, it's still understandable that okay, one company did not comply and they're getting the beating for it. Maybe there are other players such as PhonePe, Google Pay, Amazon Pay, MobiKwik, and multiple other companies that will take customers from Paytm, and the ecosystem will continue to thrive. And that could be there. There could be bad apples. One or two bad apples do not basically represent the entire ecosystem, and things would be again fine. However, if this kind of malaise is there across the ecosystem, and now that RBI is basically scrutinizing Paytm, maybe they may start auditing other companies too, and they may find compliance inconsistencies, regulatory inconsistencies across these companies. Then that would be a big dot, a black dot on the entire fintech ecosystem in India. So that remains to be seen. Again, I'm not making any speculations, but could be possible. These are all startups, and fintech requires money transfer. It is our own money that these companies work with, so we need to be careful. There were a lot of stories around cyber crime, wherein a lot of these wallets were losing money. They were a target of cyber crimes, and a lot of people were losing money in these wallets and payment gateways, etc. And I have seen a lot of complaints, and I still believe there are not very good guardrails for the consumer. Primarily, if you lose money, you can keep going to courts, etc. It's very hard to recover your money, especially in the online banking space. And I still believe there are a lot of checks and balance that have been overlooked, both by the government agencies, the cyber police, as well as these companies. So those will remain to be seen, like how they get fixed. So that is going to be a challenge across the industry, I would say. Second thing I'm thinking is, given that Paytm is a public company now, they are no longer a startup, but it will have impact on the larger startup ecosystem. If Paytm were to go down, I don't think that as a whole company will go down, but I think they will have to scale back their operations, and at least in the near term, the stock price will go down so heavily, it will take them medium to long term to recover back to their original numbers, or they'll have to find out a new business viability or a business plan as they look forward. And given that they already have a tremendous competition, it is quite possible that they may never recover with this blow to their payments bank, which used to basically supply them the UPI, which now they have to rely on, like ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank or some other bank, to provide them the UPI infrastructure that they were using to make any kind of payments. So I think a lot remains to be seen as to what would happen in the next few weeks, but I think it's ominous sign for Paytm. Stock will get battered, even more battered. There were already questions around profitability of the company that has gone down the drains. It almost seems like they are going to lose close to 500 crore to 600 crores just because of this debacle with the Paytm Payments Bank. More so, Rupert Murdoch removed their investment last year from Paytm. So those are also not good signs. And then they have a relation with the Chinese ant financials also. It could be also that this crackdown happened because they have relationship with the Chinese investment, and the Indian government doesn't want any company to have anything to do with the Chinese funds. So that could also be a reason, trigger. Again, these are just speculations. We don't know exactly what has happened. RBI has not told exactly what inconsistencies they found in Paytm and when they took this decision. It's a little bit unprecedented as well, but again, it is far better for RBI to take action now rather than if people would have put a lot of money and then company goes belly up because of whatever fraud or risk, etc., and then you can't recover any money from the company. So from that perspective, I feel good as well that okay, something has been done now, and people have been given choice to take away their money, whatever they had deposited. But again, it can have a systematic ripples across the startup ecosystem. It can have ripples across the fintech ecosystem, because this was a shiny company of India, one of the largest fintech providers of India. It's a public company, it is no longer a startup, as I said. And I think if it remains just specific to Paytm, while it is not great, it is still okay. But if this problem persists across the ecosystem in fintech, then I think a lot of heavy lifting will have to be done. All these different companies can be scrutinized in the fintech sector, and it can basically like blow the entire startup ecosystem. As you can tell, there are two crown jewels of Indian startup ecosystem. One is fintech, so all your Paytm, MobiQuick, Phone Pay, Google Pay, Amazon Pay, etc., and then tons of other fintech companies such as Jupiter, neobanks such as Open, PayU, several other companies that revolve around that system will all be shaken up. And the second jewel is e-commerce. And again, in e-commerce, there is a payment part of it, which is again provided by these fintech or payment gateways, right? So these are kind of interlinked. And if there is a systematic issue across all these different startups, as it is, the funding has dried up in the last year. In 2024, also, it doesn't look like funding situation will improve. So it will basically be a death knell to lot of startup and FDI activity that is happening across startups in India. So I think it will be wait and watch for now. I wanted to cover out like what has happened with the PayTm. I don't think the overall company will go down with this blow. It is a major blow. It is going to suck the life air from PayTm. It will be some next few months will be a little bit challenging for PayTm, but I believe they will be able to recover from it, and they would be already working on that area. I don't think that anybody will lose any money in that process. There will be some latency, some issues with respect to like, oh, what am I supposed to do, etc. People do who own Paytm stock will basically bear the brunt of it, because any bad news is bad news for the share market. So shares are going to tumble, so you'll have to sit tight. As it is, Paytm stock was not doing exceedingly well anyway. So in stock market, these are risks that you should be aware of. Things can happen at any point of time. So I think in the short to medium term, there will be turmoil with respect to stock market performance. Overall company performance will also be questionable, because now their major revenue generator, which was Paytm Payment Banks, is also not going to be there. So we can expect that share will trade lower, and it can go further low. There could be additional round of layoffs in Paytm, understandably, given what situation they have run into. And again, as I was saying earlier, none of these are because of AI. Okay, so earlier people were claiming that because of AI, Paytm is laying these people off. That's not true. They are doing some other mess. They're covering it under AI. So that's the truth that we should all know about. So thank you very much for joining me today to hearing about the Paytm fiasco that has happened. They were the crown jewel of India, and now they are facing some existential crisis at this moment. I do believe that they will not go down as a company. They will still recover from it, but these are going to be troublesome days for them in the next few weeks. So we'll wait and watch, and if anything new comes up, I'll be more than happy to cover that and share it with you all folks. So please do like, subscribe, and share. Do tell me if there is any other topic that you would like to cover. I'll be more than happy to cover that. Hope we meet again in a new video and talk about a new topic. Till then, have